Bold, willful, deeply ambitious, and violent. With a striking physique, Aemond Targaryen is House of the Dragon's best villain and a fan favorite. Being born second, Aemond feels he deserves the throne more than his weak, useless brother Aegon II. Driven by a sense of revenge, he is determined to get what he wants and will step over anyone who gets in his way. Second royal children in line of succession don't really have to worry about becoming king or queen. The position has far less responsibilities, but also fewer privileges. It is an unenviable situation that often leads to shades of jealousy. Today on Fantasy Archive, we discuss Aemond Targaryen and how he turned around his insecurities about being spared to the heir through his pursuit of power and recognition. Prince Aemond Targaryen was the fourth child of King Viserys I, ruler of the Seven Kingdoms of Westeros. He was the second male son by his second wife, Queen Alicent Hightower of House Hightower. Aemond has two older sisters, his half-sister Rhaenyra from King Viserys' first marriage, and his sister, Helaena. He also has an older brother, Aegon II, and a younger brother, Daemon. As Rhaenyra was the only surviving child of Viserys' first marriage, he named her to be his official heir. He refused to change the order of succession even after the birth of his sons from his second marriage. This decision was the beginning of a rivalry between houses that would eventually end up in the war known as Dance of the Dragons. Viserys' brother Daemon had always had his eyes on the throne, but though he possessed many admirable skills, he was considered arrogant and dangerous. With the naming of Rhaenyra and the birth of Aegon, Aemond, and Daemon, his path to the Iron Throne grew more and more difficult. House Targaryen dominated Westeros thanks to their control of dragons, which their bloodline only could command. Aemond as a child was bold, daring, and willful, coupled with a hot temper and unforgiving nature. He was half the size of his older brother when he was born, but he was much fiercer than him. Like many others, he was both a victim and an abuser. At a young age, he was always bullied. Targaryens received a dragon egg at birth so that they could bond with their egg in their crib and eventually grow up with their dragon. Aemond wasn't able to bond with his egg. He was the only one who didn't have a dragon of his own. This led to him being the odd Targaryen. Once, he went to the dragon pit with his brothers and nephews. They had told him that they had found a dragon he could ride. In reality, it was a pig dressed as a dragon to tease and mock Aemond. This built up his resentments. Aemond and most people around him were obsessed with the topic of the Iron Throne. His grandfather Otto Hightower insists that his mother make the king name their son, Aegon II, as heir. The difference of interests between Aegon and Rhaenyra's claims to the throne creates a gap within the family. The children inherit and emulate the enmity between Aemond's mother Alicent and his half-sister Rhaenyra. Rhaenyra's children with Sir Laenor Velaryon of House Valyrian, Princes Jacaerys, Lucerys, and Joffrey Velaryon, turned into bitter rivals of Aemond and his siblings. The more time they spent together, the more their resentment grew toward each other. At the tender age of 10 after Lady Laena's funeral, Aemond's father took him to Dragonstone and told him that he could claim a dragon egg as his own if he was bold enough. This drove Aemond to claim Vhagar, late Lady Laena's dragon. The dragon was the biggest and eldest dragon in the world. Knowing very well that his parents would not allow him near the dragon, Aemond did this in secret. Well, it was a secret, until his 3-year-old nephew, Prince Joffrey, caught him. Eventually, Joffrey's older siblings confronted Aemond. One thing led to another, and Lucerys ended up slashing Aemond's face, taking one of his eyes. Aemond's mother Alicent wanted Lucerys to pay for it with his eye, but she was stopped by Rhaenyra. Aemond, however, surprises everyone and also impresses his uncle Daemon when he says that an eye was a good price to pay for a dragon. Aemond had his life's priorities cut out for him within the first decade of his life. The loss of his eye made his visions and goals more sharp and clear. Though driven by revenge, he wanted the throne. He wanted power and recognition. He knew that as a second son, he would have to earn his respect, and he would work hard to get it. Aemond studied history and philosophy. He also became a dangerous swordsman, a master combatant, and let's not forget the rider of the largest dragon alive, only second to the dragon Balerion the Dread, dragon of Aegon the Conqueror. He wore an eye patch so that noble ladies wouldn't become frightened when seeing him. He wasn't bothered by his nickname One Eye. Instead, he wore a sapphire eye. In the books, he refrained from the eye patch when not around noble ladies. Aemond was intelligent and skilled, but he was violent and unregulated. He had cunning wit and was ever ready to harm others when the situation demanded. His childhood wounds from being bullied and ignored stayed with him. Thus he adopted the fearsome persona to prove he is much more worthy than his cousins and more deserving than his weak elder brother. Aemond was manipulative and forced people to hear his opinions. He dismissed emotions whether they were his own or of others. Being overly direct, he often upset those around him. He found power in the violence and strength of his dragon, similar to his uncle. As a young boy, he was always in awe of his uncle and tried to model himself like him. But growing up, they started to become rivals. When King Viserys died, his elder son Aegon declared himself king. This wasn't good news for Princess Rhaenyra, who Viserys had ordered as his official successor. Aemond was sent to Storm's End on his dragon Vhagar to gather the support and allegiance of Lord Robert Baratheon by sealing their relationship through marriage to one of his 4 daughters. Later, Lucerys arrived on Arrax to persuade Boros to ally with his mother Rhaenyra. Lucerys ignored his uncle while he tried to provoke him. Aemond tore off his eye patch, revealing a sapphire in place of his missing eye. For him, it was time for payback. Aemond attacked first, saying he wanted Luke to pay the debt he owed him. Boros's men restrained Aemond, allowing Lucerys to leave on his dragon. Aemond had his eyes set on revenge. He chased down Lucerys and Arrax and accidentally slayed both of them. An eye for a life. This ended the possibilities of any civil resolution of the throne situation. Infuriated Daemon promises Rhaenyra, who was now his wife, that he would avenge the death of her son, and the dance of dragons begins. When Aegon was injured at Rook's Nest, Aemond took control as regent. He led a force with Ser Criston to take down Harrenhal, which had been taken by his uncle Daemon. Unfortunately, he left King's Landing undefended, and Rhaenyra easily took over. Rhaenyra kills Alicent's father Otto. Enraged, Aemond went on a rampage riding on Vhagar, burning down all the settlements that allied with Rhaenyra. Daemon decided to wait for Aemond at Harrenhal, no matter how long it took. After 13 days, Aemond arrived with his pregnant lover Aerys. In 130 AC, Aemond and Daemon mounted their dragons and engaged in the battle above the God's Eye. It ended with both of them with their 2 dragons crashing down. Prince Daemon stabbed Aemond in his eye with the Valyrian steel sword Dark Sister. He chained Aemond's body to Vhagar's saddle. Both Aemond and his dragon sank into the lake. Aemond's body was recovered later, with Dark Sister still through his eye socket. Aerys ruled over Harrenhal as Witch Queen, with Ser Rhaegus and Ser Daemon demanding her submission. She said that she was the widow of Aemond, and presented a young boy as her true son of Aemond.